Sprint qualifying has been given a green light, while Red Bull has made its power unit intentions known. You can now watch full 24-minute episodes of The Inside Line at our new home on unbeaten.com. Formula One has finally given the green light to sprint qualifying races this year, with the format to debut at 3 rounds. The decision was unanimously approved by the FIA's Formula One Commission, with the drivers largely convinced by the sport's management. Sprint qualifying is set to be held at 2 European events and 1 non-European, expected to be the British, Italian and Brazilian Grands Prix. The format sees Friday practice followed by qualifying as it is now, to set the grid for Saturday's race, with the full-distance Grand Prix on Sunday. Points are to be awarded, with 3 for the winner, 2 for second and 1 for third. Mercedes power unit efforts have been derated, with news that Red Bull has poached the brand's longtime head of mechanical engineering, Ben Hodgkinson, though no switch date has been set. Red Bull is currently building up its power unit capabilities, with the brand set to take over Honda's program once the Japanese manufacturer exits at the end of the season. A move made possible with F1 freezing engine development from the 2022 season until new regulations come on song in 2025.
It was great to get the Honda agreement, through after the freeze was voted through, thankfully supported, gratefully by the other teams, the FIA and the commercial rights holder. So, that enables us to fully focus on Honda's last year, in Formula One, to try and do the very best that we can.
Fan favorite track Suzuka will remain on the F1 calendar until at least the end of 2024, with news last week that the Japanese Grand Prix promoters, Mobility Land, had signed a new 3-year deal with the sport. Suzuka has hosted all but 2 of the races in Japan since 1987, with Fuji Speedway the others in 2007 and 2008, but its contract was set to expire after the 2021 event on October 10. And while Honda will pull out of F1 at the end of the season, rookie Yuki Tsunoda is likely to stay on, fueling local interest in the event, with 2022 the circuit's 60th anniversary. Suzuka, located near Nagoya, has been the scene of some of the sport's greatest moments, with 11 drivers' titles decided, including those between legends Alain Prost and Ayrton Senna, with former McLaren driver Lewis Hamilton in awe of it all.
Growing up watching a lot of the footage from Senna's days with the team when they won championships. So growing up, he's always been he's always been the driver that I've looked up to. So to be entering into the last corner knowing that the championship was decided here, and Prost crashed into him one time there, and then into turn 1, Senna took Prost out one time.
McLaren's Lando Norris says he's stepped up this year in terms of being the squad's reference for car handling and development. Norris, who earned his 2nd career podium with a storming drive at the last race in Imola, said to the Australian Grand Prix podcast In the Fast Lane that his experience is not just invaluable, but different to teammate Daniel Ricciardo.
Daniel's got the experience of being in Formula One, but I've got the experience of being with McLaren. So I think that's where my responsibility's gone up a little bit, is that I can refer to a lot more things about the past few years with how the car's been and developing this year's car.
McLaren finished 2020 3rd in the standings, its first time in the top 3 in 8 years. But while beating Mercedes and Red Bull will be tough this season, there's still reason to fight.
This year, it's not like it's going to be very difficult to finish any better than that. Second or first is going to be extremely hard to do. But it's about maintaining that and still making these small improvements where we can.
Williams CEO Jost Capito says that George Russell has the X factor that he first saw in Kimi Räikkönen, with the German instrumental in bringing the Finn to F1 for his debut with Sauber in 2001. Russell is no doubt a star of the future, with the Brit more than delivering on his potential for Mercedes in last year's Sakhir Grand Prix. But Capito, speaking to F1's official podcast Beyond the Grid, says he's doing great things at Williams too.
In George, I see a lot what I've seen in Kimi. His driving is brilliant. His natural talent is brilliant, but he doesn't rely just on his natural talent. He is working very hard as well, and he is demanding.
Capito, however, knows Russell will eventually move on from the squad, with the British driver's target obvious.
Of course, that every driver wants to be in the winning car. That is absolutely clear, and he should aim for this. And let's see where he believes in where Williams is next year. There is no miracles in the sport, so we will not have a winning car next year.
Mercedes has revealed Valtteri Bottas's crash in Imola with Williams racer George Russell peaked at 30G, the Finn walking away from the accident with just minor bruising. Russell collided with Bottas on lap 32, trying to pass on the way down to turn 2, but lost control of the car and took them both out.
Happily, he was able to come out of that with not much more than a bruised knee from the impact, but it was a big crash. We were seeing around 30G at points in his sort of trip around the walls.
Bottas's W12, though, fared far worse, with much of the car returned to the team's Brackley base, with the power unit sent to Brixworth for checks. The challenge, however, is in rebuilding the car for Portugal.
Some of the bits we might be able to salvage. Unfortunately, quite a lot of it is damaged beyond repair. And we're just looking at a logistics plan to try and be able to get sufficient parts to Portimao to make sure we can run both cars in the correct spec.
Bottas returned to the Imola track last week for a Pirelli tyre test focused on the brand's 18-inch prototypes. McLaren has sold off its iconic technology center to New York-based real estate investment trust Global Net Lease for $236 million, with a 20-year triple net lease where the tenant pays all expenses. The sale of the 840,000 square foot facility will ensure the squad has the funds to close the gap to the top teams, with the transaction expected to be completed sometime in the second quarter of 2021. The move comes off the back of McLaren's push to improve its financial might, which began with the team taking out a £150 million British pound loan with the National Bank of Bahrain last year. Why have all this money tied up in real estate? We're not a real estate company. We're a racing team and an automotive company. And that's the start of the journey to start cleaning up the balance sheet, McLaren Racing CEO Zak Brown said. Esteban Ocon and his teammate, two-time F1 world champion Fernando Alonso, are no strangers to suiting up and strapping into Alpine's F1 car, the A521, at tracks across the globe. But at Imola, the pair were presented with the road versions they'll drive to all European rounds this year. Identical Alpine A110S cars, which have been liveried just like their F1 counterparts. The A110S has bags of power, with its 1.8-litre turbocharged four-cylinder engine putting out 215 kilowatts, enough to do 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 4.4 seconds, with a top speed of 260.
So this beautiful car will take us to the racetrack, and hopefully, we bring luck to us in the European season, and we will have fun driving it in the cities around Europe.
It looks awesome. It has my number on it. Great French colors on it as well. It's the A110S, so fantastic machine. We have to drive that one carefully, and the Formula One cars on the track fast.
Two-time Indy 500 winner Takuma Sato has received his trophy for winning last year's iconic race, with the mini replica, the Baby Borg, awarded to drivers since 1988, given the height and weight of the full-sized one. Sato, a former F1 driver, will race in front of fans at next month's Indy 500. Thanks for watching. To stay up to speed on all things Formula One, make sure you hit the subscribe button.